In high seas or calm, both opportunity and risk lurk just below the surface. Answers require in-depth analysis. Welcome to BlackFin Group's Shark Cage podcast, where experts dip below the surface of important industry issues in search of hidden opportunities.
Hello, and welcome to the Shark Cage. I'm your host, April Ball, here with my co-host, Rick Grant.
April, how are you doing? It's good to see you today.
You too, Rick. Thank you. I'm doing very well. Over the past few years, banks and mortgage lenders have seen many new technologies come to market, some more effective than others. Many have made investments and then have been disappointed when implementation problems prevent them from realizing an ROI. To talk about the secret ingredient to effective implementations, we have Keith Kemph, CEO of BlackFin Group, with us today. Keith, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
All right, Keith, don't keep us waiting. What is the secret ingredient you wrote about recently on a BlackFin Group blog?
Well, sure thing. It's trust. Trust is really the secret ingredient. Throughout my 25 plus years in the mortgage banking space, implementing new technologies, really both as a lender and as a vendor, quite frankly, even as a consultant working to advise vendors and lenders, there's just nothing more concerning than when I see a one-dimensional relationship where a vendor is selling software and then a lender is buying software. I've just seen it time and time again where a lender says, hey, here's my needs, here's our wants, and here's our objectives. And then the vendor in turn says, hey, here's how we can help with each of those. I remember one particular client when I was consulting on a specific deliverable. And while chugging along, I got dropped into the middle of a whole different project where the lender was evaluating new imaging system. I'm a huge baseball fan. I think you both know that, but it's as if, this was a baseball game and the vendor was in the fifth inning of these conversations with all three different imaging systems. And I hadn't watched a single inning of the game to really know what's going on. But when I did get involved, I quickly explained to the vendor that two of the three systems that they were actually looking at weren't actually imaging systems that they wanted or needed. They just weren't comparing apples to apples. It was like comparing apples to oranges. And equally concerning is, how did the vendor let this happen? How did the vendors let it go this far? Can you imagine if the vendor had chosen one or two that wasn't one of the two that wasn't actually a fit? All the casualties and really the soured relationships in the industry. I mean, people get over it, but man, it's a lot of pain for literally no gain. And it's just unfortunate that this happens more than people know or realize in the industry. And the fundamental that it always comes back to is we're trusting each other, that we're on the same page, meeting each other's needs. So trust is the key and the secret ingredient.
So Keith, I've been writing about mortgage technology for decades now, and hearing you say that, you're exactly right. I have to agree with you. But how does a prospective partner, how does a vendor demonstrate that trustworthiness?
Sure thing. It's a great question, Rick. So trust has to be earned through the layering of prepared questions and authentic discussion, not just showing up to do a demo, if you will. I hear about the demo, is like this major event in the sales process. They like us enough to see a demo, and that's just one small little increment within the trust building, relationship. The partner needs to actively listen and then demonstrate that they're listening by describing how they can, or more importantly, how they cannot help. Vendors shouldn't be trying to be all things to all people. And when, in taking that a step further, when and where able to describe other added benefits of doing business with you as a vendor that actually speaks to the client needs that they hadn't stated, make sure you highlight those. maybe a vendor provides a CRM that the prospect's asking for. But if in fact your CRM is helping mitigate significant compliance risks by way of whiz bang feature A or B or C, talk about it, and help further educate them that, our system in comparison to other systems is actually going to help mitigate more of your risks. And that's building even greater trust. That's not selling, that's building even greater trust that you're delivering something of true value. Also, I think this is one that really gets underestimated. The vendor should be talking about implementation, how implementation takes place. Don't sell speed of implementation. Talk about the vendor support needed for successful implementation. Is there an executive sponsor that's going to be needed? What's the project plan look like? What are the details in the project plan? Arm the prospect with what they need to know to be successful. They need a partner that's going to help. If they're going to need a partner that's going to help with testing, like BlackFin, tell them. Don't wait till the middle of the implementation. Oh, by the way, you're going to need someone to help you with testing. That's not very forthcoming at the very beginning. It says you cut off a very critical discussion and a budgetary discussion that needed to be had early on in the decision process. So that's how you're going to start building trust with your prospects. Get below the surface of the sale or demo. Start painting an authentic picture of what is involved to be successful, to really ensure that this is going to be a good fit between the lender and the vendor, between the prospect and the client. There needs to be, and there needs to feel that there is this three-dimensional bilateral relationship that's been built and trust has been earned, that what you're saying is going to be true when we get this implemented. I'd say those are the key components to being able to earn that trust as a partner.
Keith, what are some signs that you are dealing with a trustworthy partner, and maybe some red flags that you should be looking out for?
Yeah, that's a great question, April. Signs you're dealing with a trustworthy partner: they're really patient in your decisioning process. They recognize your need for whatever number of calls you ask for in order to feel good about their decision. Another sign is they're asking details of your business process and actively taking notes to make sure that critical aspects are covered and that they're communicated back in future follow-up calls. That I recognize this requirement is critical, and we're going to make sure that requirement is met. So active listening and questioning about your business process is critical. That the partner is transparent, that they're going to share with you, that they're not going to give you the intellectual content, but they're going to talk through the strategy, the implementation strategy, the plan, the roadmap, the customer support strategy, the communication strategy, all the things that are critical to not only implement, but also to be successful in the long term. That they've demonstrated that requirements are being written down. Those are all good signs of a trustworthy partner. They're actively listening. They also share and demonstrate just a wide open commitment to communication. Communication is key. As it relates to red flags, it's if what's needed to be known is in a project plan, that's the question. Is what's needed to be known in a project plan, or is it in someone's head? If it's in someone's head, that should be a major red flag. Your instincts should tell you there's more here, but they just aren't talking about it. I think another red flag is, was it a feel-good conversation, or was some real meat on the bone in the middle of that conversation that I could chew on as it relates to the challenges, the issues, the concerns, the risk factors around this particular project? And based on experience of other partners and your partner's other experiences that they bring to light, so that you can make sure that you stay ahead of them. If they're giving you some really good insight, that critical insight there, then I think you're going to be able to know that this is going to be a good partner to work with. And I'll look at BlackFin just for a minute. When I started BlackFin, I wanted to build a company that our vendor and lender clients could really trust to successfully implement, to serve as a valuable, partner and liaison between helping vendors and lenders fill in some of the gaps in project planning, testing, change management, and training. I knew from day one that without trust, BlackFin would not be able to grow like it is, and our lender clients really wouldn't be in a position to be successful like they are. So, due to that commitment that I've made from day one, I've paid a high price to build this company that our clients can trust. And even when it comes to replacing some key members of our own team to ensure we deliver on both our brand and promise of transparency, communication, and authenticity. So it's a price I'm more than willing to pay over and over again to make sure that we're successful.
We've been visiting today with Keith Kemph. He is the CEO of BlackFin Group. Keith, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for joining us. Join us next time when we talk with Bill Corbett about maximizing secondary mortgage markets. Until then.
Thank you for joining us in the Shark Cage. To be a guest on a future episode, send an email to info@blackfin-group.com. The Shark Cage is produced by Content Beacon. To find out more about the show or the information provided in this episode, visit BlackFin Group online at www.blackfin-group.com.